Uh-oh. I guess it's happening again. I bet the British people are so traumatized at this point. They've seen this all before. Just this week, 20 councillors in Broxton Borough just quit the ruling Labour Party. I know you're going, why is Victor telling me about a local government in the East Midlands, in the UK no less? And yes, I just talked about myself in third person, but let me explain, okay? Just let me explain. So you'll remember that the UK finally decided they'd had enough of the Conservative Party last year. This was after burning through 5 Conservative prime ministers over 14 years. There was David Cameron between 2010 and 2016, left after the Brexit referendum. Theresa May was from 2016 to 2019. She was also a Brexit casualty. You remember Boris? Him and Trump made quite a funny pair for a while there. I don't know if you guys remember him. But Boris Johnson was the prime minister between 2019 and 2022. He was actually quite popular until a scandal saw him forced out. Now, funnily enough, he wasn't even the person that did the thing that got him fired. Let's just say there was a drunk MP, there were people getting grabbed by the groin, and Boris's handling of the matter was deemed unacceptable. So he eventually resigned. Then there was the 45-day Prime Minister Liz Truss. She won the Conservative Party leadership contest on promises of tax cuts and economic reforms. Yeah, that didn't go so well. Her tenure was short-lived due to the disastrous economic impacts of her policies. Then came Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak was the last of the Conservative prime ministers between 2022 and 2024. So here was a guy who was handing out cash during COVID lockdowns. This was before he became prime minister. Come to think of it, it sounds remarkably similar to Justin Trudeau here in Canada, actually. 75 of his MPs just quit before the election. Anyways, his shit campaign was basically the nail in the coffin. The Conservatives lost by a landslide to the current Prime Minister Keir Starmer of the Labour Party. So that brings us to the modern day. So why does it matter that 20 councillors in a local government quit the Labour Party? Well, you haven't heard the reason they left yet. The first reason was that they felt the Labour Party has departed from its traditional values. Now, if you don't know anything about UK politics, here's a short summary. So the Labour Party is known for being the champion of the little guy. They advocate for things like social justice, progressive taxation, workers' rights, and support for the unemployed, the elderly, and vulnerable populations, essentially. Under Keir Starmer, there was a reduction of the winter fuel allowance for pensioners. And he also retained the 2-child benefit cap, which limits financial support for larger families. So these councillors broke with the Labour Party on some of these policies because of their perceived departure from their traditional values, right? And in response to this break from the mold, 10 of them were blocked from contesting in the local elections coming in May of 2025. And that's the second big reason they left the party altogether. They feel like the Labour Party has been systematically trying to purge more centrist views. These guys are relatively small fish, though, so that's not really the big thing I'm trying to draw your attention to here. The British system of government is actually a bit weird. So they have the king and royal family. We know this, right? And the position of the king and the royal family is mostly ceremonial. Then you have the central government, which is basically the prime minister and his cabinet. The members of parliament also fall under the central government as well. The central government is responsible for national policies and defense and foreign affairs and finance, that kind of thing, right? They also have this weird thing where Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have their own first minister, which is basically a lower position compared to the prime minister. So Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have the first minister and some sort of parliament as well. Then they have the local government, which is where these guys from Broxton Borough, this is where they fall, right? Then there's the town councils under that. As I said, these guys are really small fish. But why is this mass resignation in a tiny pond potentially problematic for Keir Starmer? Well, that's where the past trauma I told you about in the beginning of this video, that's where that comes in. When you've had 6 different leaders in 14 years, any sign of weakness can escalate very quickly. In the last 14 years, these frequent changes in leadership have contributed to a period of political instability in the UK, and that has made it challenging for any prime minister to really maintain long-term stability. Now, so you can easily see how this mass resignation of councillors can snowball into a broader political crisis. Next thing you know, you have a new prime minister, right? So is it all happening again? In a few months, will this moment be regarded as the beginning of the end for Keir Starmer? You guys let me know your thoughts. But you know what else I was thinking about? Could this whole situation with 6 prime ministers in 14 years, could that happen here in Canada? We have a similar type of government. So is there a world where Canada goes through 6 prime ministers in 14 years? Anyways, let me know your thoughts. If you're new to my content, please subscribe down below. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.